Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is my third breakdown of Squid Game. This covers episode 7 to 9. Before I start, thank you so much for 900 subscribers. We are very close to 1,000 subscribers. Let's make it happen. Let's go. So episode 7 opens on the body of Ali. This establishes what I was saying at the end of the last breakdown. When you don't see the body, don't believe they are dead. Now we can believe Ali is dead, but we still don't know if Ilnam is dead. But this is a detail that slips everybody. The bets have now reduced the number as the players have now gone from 39 to 17. And this is the first proper time we see the clues of the games on the wall. To the surprise of everyone, Minhyo is still alive as she says she was being called the weakest link. The frontman has this conversation with a higher power, and the dialogue here makes me believe that there is someone much higher than Ilnam himself. Also, remember what we said about the phone arrangement in the previous breakdown, and this comes into play here when the frontman realizes that his phone is in the other direction. And so he starts to search his quarters before he is alerted of a body being found on one side of the island. And this is the body of number 29, the same body that Janho disposed of back in episode 3. The frontman finds Janho's ID and now knows exactly who is after him. Now, as the man who never goes anywhere without his wife is lamenting the loss of his wife, notice how the framing of the shot pans to the game they're about to play. Sangwoo stops him and makes an impassioned speech, and I want you to notice the character progression of Sangwoo. From the first episode till this point, Sangwoo has seemingly transformed from intellectual to complete barbarian. And these little things are noticeable, from how he stops wearing glasses at one point to how his hair even changes. So 6 VIPs arrive to watch the next few games. A character unmasks himself in front of the frontman, and we don't know who this is until episode 9. One of the VIPs says this:
"Right, the contest in Korea was the best."
Which implies directly that the Squid Game not only happens in Korea, but it's happening in other parts of the world. Janho attacks and assumes one of the worker roles for the VIPs. Now the players are given the opportunity to pick the number that they want to go as for the next game. And this messes with Gihan's head so much, because if he picks the number 16, he could go first if it's in reverse order because of how he voted. And if he picks number 1, he could actually go first as well, but the clue is given by the front man. Now in my first breakdown, I did say to pay attention to the flashbacks of some of the characters. So in the same way that Deoksu jumped off the bridge, it's exactly the same thing that happens to him in his death, with the only caveat being the words of Minhyo coming to fruition when she says,
"Betray me, I'll kill you, okay?"
Now this old man finds the loophole of this game, which I have hammered on since the start of these breakdowns. The loophole being you can use the refraction of light to determine which one is tempered glass and which one isn't. So he gets a few of them until the front man dims the lights, and then he falls to his death at the hands of Sangwoo. And then we have the glass pyrotechnics which harm every single player. Notice how Gihan and Sangwoo are cut at the cheek, and unfortunately Sebyok is stabbed by a very big shard of glass which you don't see until the next episode. Meanwhile, this VIP that wants to use Janho as a pleasure object ends up confessing everything he knows about the Squid Game to Janho at gunpoint. And in the process of escaping, the frontman sees the face of Janho before he escapes the island. This episode sets the death of Sebyok up very slowly. And it starts with how you see her blood on the floor as they are walking back to the rooms, to how the massive shard of glass in her tummy has caused a lot of blood loss, and how she cannot eat properly at the feast. We see how the guards leave the knives in front of them, similar to how they set up the special game back in episode 4. And at the cliffside where they finally managed to corner Janho, we finally see the true identity of the frontman as Hwang In-ho, the brother of Janho. Now notice how he shoots his brother just around his collarbone and shoulder. Now obviously he does do that because it's his brother, he doesn't want to kill him, but also because the soldiers behind him would actually believe that he shot him in the heart. And this is where my rule kicks in once again. When you don't see a body, don't believe they are dead, and we don't see the body of Janho here. That would mean that unless there's a shark attack, Janho is still alive, because there wasn't a shark attack for this dead body already. Now some of the dialogue with these players is very crucial.
"It's because you always gotta open your mouth and ask something idiotic. Because you're a nosy-ass idiot who's too slow to keep it shut. Someone who always has to get into trouble but somehow can't tell he's in it."
You need to think about yourself.
And these two pieces of dialogue come very handy in the very last scene, but I will touch that. We see the front man being confronted by his guilt as he sees his brother in the mirror. And we hear the "Fly Me to the Moon" song again. Now I have a very interesting theory about this, because you see, when the front man uses the remote to turn on these jazz puppets at the end of the first episode, he practically controls their actions, and this is exactly what happens with this series, with the games that they put in front of them and ask them to play. So technically the players are the puppets, and all these people in management management are the puppeteers. Also, the lyrics of Fly Me to the Moon are very, very interesting. You see, the song in of itself encapsulates exploration. And this is exactly what happens in the game, because these characters are exploring their true natures. We saw this with the pastor who has a very bloodthirsty nature. We saw this with Sang-woo, who is not only intellectual but is willing to do whatever it takes for him to win. And despite his ability to be treacherous, we saw how Gi-han can be very compassionate towards other people. Now, while Sang-woo tries to go and get help, Se-byuk is killed and slit at the throat the very same way she almost slit that man in the throat in episode 2. So this sets up the final game, which is the Squid Game, and we are very familiar because that was set up at the beginning of the show. We get this line from one of the VIPs.
It sounds so romantic. What's it mean?
Good rain. Now's the best time to fall. Dufu.
Dufu is an early Chinese poet. Now also notice how the VIPs are 5 instead of 6, and that's because that 6th man is probably recovering from his well-deserved trauma. Gi-han gets the upper hand but does not kill Sang-woo and is about to take a vote to end the games completely, not considering the fact that he would walk away with nothing with Sang-woo. And Sang-woo, knowing very well that Gi-han would look out for his mother, kills himself. And this goes back to episode 2 where he almost committed suicide in the bathtub. So you see, the flashbacks really came in handy. Later, there is a conversation with the front man in the limousine where he says that the players are horses to them. Which, when you liken, makes sense, but is still one of the most sadistic things about this game because these are actual human lives. But then again, trying to justify that it can be somewhat of a gray area and it's so weird. After he's dumped on the side of the road, he spits out this credit card, and when he goes to check it, it has his player number of 0456 as its security pin. And at this point, Gi-han is a billionaire, but it doesn't reflect just yet. And in passing Sang-woo's mother's shop, he cannot tell her about the death of her son. That's a very tough position he got put in, to be quite honest. It's a much tougher position when you consider the fact that she's not even going to be able to give him a funeral, let alone your son dying. That's so dark. And Gi-han finds his mother unfortunately passed away, and this goes back to the saying that it is truly lonely at the top because he's gotten all this money he was going to use for her, but she's gone. That must be very heart-wrenching. It is very heart-wrenching. A year later, he's undergone a complete transformation, looking like a beggar, has never touched a dime from his account. And he also asks the bank manager for 10,000 won, which is just insane because that's the same amount of money he initially withdrew from the ATM. Later, he purchases these flowers with a card attached from his gumbo, and this serves as the official confirmation that Il-nam is still alive. Like I said, if you don't see the body, don't believe they are dead. So Il-nam reveals that he was a moneylender, but he has found a way to make it big. And this correlates back to the first episode where Gi-han had to rely on moneylenders just to get by and also to stake bets, which was kind of stupid. Also, this brings up a certain connection to mind because it was these same moneylenders that gave Gi-han the waiver to his physical rights to sign, meaning that it's all connected some way. Il-nam justifies his creation of the games as him being bored, and not only as a money-making avenue because he was getting so much money from those bets that they were staking. And not only does this part of the series set up that conversation of the true nature of humanity as opposed to just standing by, but it also shows you the true evil or twisted nature of Il-nam himself. And in watching this moment, one of the things that came to my mind was how the Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but to lose his soul? And it's kind of what's happened to Il-nam. Il-nam dies on the stroke of midnight on Christmas morning, which is somewhat metaphorical as well because if you look at it, they have used these boxes with gift ribbons on them. So this ultimate death of Il-nam has given closure to Gi-han. Oh my god, this thing is twisted. Gi-han finally gets the haircut, and this is the ending that everyone, including LeBron James, is very furious about. Gi-han sees the same man that recruited him for the Squid Game a year earlier and doesn't catch him because he's already on the train going. And at that point, I don't know what he was thinking. You could just rip up the card and move on. But no, I have to be Asian Superman, so I'm going to come back for you and not be a good father. Yeah, I'm pretty mad about it. It puts me in a very bad mood, I won't lie. So now this brings the question to mind. Will there ever be a season 2? And I hope there is, because there are some character arcs that are very much unresolved, like Janho's character arc. He's somewhere out there, I can assure you of that. And also with the dumb decision that Guion has made, we really need to see where this goes, because he is going to go back to those games for sure, but in what capacity? A returned player? That has never happened to the best of my knowledge. Does he become the new frontman or a second frontman? The possibilities are endless. Either way, thank you so much for sticking with me through these breakdowns. These have been a lot of work to put out, but your viewership and your support has kept me going. We are on the cusp of 1K subscribers and I am so ecstatic. But please do subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think down below. If you want to see a video that YouTube thinks is the best for you, you can click that over here. If you want to see my most recent upload, that's the last breakdown, click over here. I'm Darkman Kpakpo. I will see you guys in another video very soon. Take care. Goodbye.